Whoa, what a cliffhanger that was. No, we're not talking about the result of the game. The fact that Kolkata won was going to be a foregone conclusion for much of that second innings. We are talking about the race for the MPL Super Couch, which the equation was as follows. We needed 4 runs in 3 balls from the Kings 11 Punjab batsmen for there to be no Super Couches here, but they didn't. They got a dot ball to finish with, and therefore it means our champion sitting on that super couch is Ajay. Jadeja.
Drum roll, drum roll.
I can tell you there was so much action here, much more than there was on the field, because we didn't know whether to pull that out, put it back, pull that out, put it back. For a time you actually got up and you said, "Yeah, nikal lo, yaar."
Yeah, because by the beta, 19th over, I thought, take this off because they'll get more runs than what they got in the last over. But they were nice to me. They didn't run off the last ball, so they.
And by the way, just put your hand there again. Your finger was here, and you were about to bowl cross seam.
Okay, cross seam underarm.
But nonetheless, I was far away from it. The fact is, even though they got to 190, it was really Kolkata in charge for 90% of that.
Yeah, once you lost Chris Gale at the top and first couple of wickets, then it was just mere formalities. And what surprises me is David Miller, because at over number 10, thought if there's any chance, if Miller stays till the end, that's the way I looked at it. But the way he's batted, and don't have to go far, just look at that last ball. He's batting off 40 balls, he's been there, he's batting on 50 odd, he just plays it to covers and finishes the game. So it just shows the mindset that he's in. You don't play him in the first game. He's worried about his pace. It's averages, numbers, stats again. The game was gone. I mean, not that the game was going to make a difference. And I think that's how he probably approached the entire inning as well. Because there's still some batting left in the hut. Mandeep Singh had just come out. Yeah. If you've, given it all that you have and you still don't make it, and I thought they would not make it because 214 was too much, but you still got to keep going at it. But, they're playing the game differently these days.
I saw a stat somewhere. Has Miller only started 8 games of the last 28 games that the Kings 11 have played?
He has been in and out?
Average 25, strike rate 125. So maybe Ajay is right. He's 59 or 40. If he had scored one more run, he realized if he had taken a single of that last ball, there would have been too much physical labor involved in our studio. So,
but Harsha, the other number you threw at me just before the show started was Chris Gale in 200 plus run chases.
Yes.
And that is something that tells the story here. It's very disappointing. Average around 20, strike rate of 129.
Yeah, something like that. 127, 128, average 22. With every great player, there is a stat somewhere that challenges that. Even with Tendulkar, people would pull that out. But it's 4 or 5, I think it's 5 games, 200 plus run chases, not that many, it's 4 or 5 games, or 6 games, something like that. Unless it is that when he's batting first, he's not under pressure to deliver runs, so he can take those 15, 20 balls, which he needs to go and then produce the big scores. Maybe when he's chasing, he doesn't have the luxury of those 15, 20 balls, maybe he needs to go quickly. That could be just one reason that I can think of.
But the fact is, you look at a few games or you look at a lot of games, one person has delivered twice. It's been an assault chasing and an assault batting first from our MPL hero of the match, Andre Russell. Certainly will be a favourite for the man of the match as well, but he is our undisputed MPL hero of the match. And certainly if you look at Andre Russell's contribution both times, 190 for 4 in isolation in 20 overs, not a bad effort from Punjab, but when you've got that 48 of 17 balls to follow up what he did in the previous game, that is the little difference.
And 3 overs, 2 for 21.
I didn't even mention that.
Yeah, 3 overs, 2 for 21, including the wickets of Chris Gale and Sarfaraz. It's okay, but Chris Gale. No, Sarfaraz is not going to win you the game. I like his spunk, I like his whatever. But at number 4, I didn't think he was going to win the game. If someone has to win the game, it was Gale or Miller. So.
Yeah, Miller, KL Rahul. I'd add Rahul to that list, and I think it was
once Rahul had gone.
Once Rahul had gone, then things were going to be difficult because it's about 214 means even if a batsman gets 100, you still need. It's like when you chase 300 scores, you need 2 guys to get 100 to win that game because everybody doesn't score in every game. Yeah. Similarly, in a 2020 game, if you need to chase 210, 220, you need at least 3 guys to get big scores. Because there's very little time for people to come in and start scoring. It was 15 or 18 and over in the last 8-10 overs. So when Mandeep walks in, it's 25 and over. I mean, what is poor Mandeep going to do? He's going to swing his bat. He's going to get his stats would probably look better, and maybe that's why most teams pick him and still play him at 6, because these stats will go into that. These numbers will go. He's not out. He's played certain number of balls at 6. He averages so much, but it means nothing at the end of the game, because he's not won you game there. So if he has 4 games like this, next season the auction, the algorithm will show that, he bats at 6, bats at 300 runs per 100 balls, but it's of no use. It's behind that run rate on that day.
And no, and as Ajay will know, I love giving these filmy references, so our film person will know.
I like the way.
In every movie, there is a scene stealer. And there is this guy who's actually done a lot, who's acted quite well, but he's like the hero's brother equivalent, He's done well, but you don't notice. Now, I'm looking at these numbers, 63 of 34. And as you said to us while you were chatting, 2 4s and 7 6s. Who are we talking about?
Rana.
We're talking about Andre Russell. But no, I mean, at the end, we're all talking about Andre Russell. Nitish Rana has hit 7 6s in 34 balls. But the scene stealer, the charisma scene stealer, it just comes and makes the difference of it. 63 of 34, strike rate 185, batting at a different number from the number he batted last time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there you have it. You've got the unsung hero, Nitish Rana. We've got the hero on the couch, Ajay Jadeja. We've got the MPL hero of the match. That, of course, was Andre Russell. We've got one more hero to reveal, and that is, of course, the person who most manipulated his team the best, picked the best players in his super team, our super team hero, and that is Pramod. Oh, you have to love those glasses. Pramod Kumar with 295 points. Of those, 60 points go for the sunglasses. The rest of it goes for the picking of his team. Hashtag Game Khelo Hero Bano. Yes, indeed. Well done. And I'm sure Andre Russell would have featured very heavily in there, along with Sunil Narayan, maybe Varun Chakravarti, maybe not quite so much Christopher Henry Gale. But just
if he had orange hair, you would have liked him more, no?
Well, I liked the green glasses. That was fine.
But if he had orange hair, you would have liked him even more.
Yeah, 30 more points for that.
That picture, he looks younger than even Piyush Chawla. Doesn't he?
I thought you were going to say younger than Sarfraz.
But no, this is a comeback for the hero. Because we are having this discussion about how old Piyush Chawla is. It doesn't matter now.
But Ashwin has post-match owned up to the fact that yes, he was the man in charge. He should have really spotted that no ball, and because
fair call, which is what captain should do and captain should say.
And Andre Russell did make the difference. We talked about it earlier, and I think that really has made all the difference, the runs that he got after he was dismissed. By a peach of a delivery, that'll be forgotten because it wasn't out.
It was 4 of 6. It could have been the delivery that won the game for the Punjab team. It was a delivery that could have won them the game. Yep. And to think that, and it just tells you how alert you need to be. I mean, even the catch that Lockie Ferguson dropped of David Miller, next 2 overs, 29 runs. So today in T20 cricket, on tracks like these especially, it's the little things that can have huge impact. And that's why I think fielding is, we always say fielding is 2 wickets, but I think fielding is 20, 25, 30 runs in this game.
Yeah, fielding is an important aspect of it.
And you'd have to say, without sounding too harsh, that if you look at these 8 teams, the Kings 11 Punjab will find themselves somewhere towards the lower half, shall we say.
Well fed.
Right.
Well fed.
No, in fact, the last game that they played, I mean, this game they still look better because, Puran's not keeping wickets, so Rahul's not out in the outfield. He held a brilliant catch, but as a fielder to throw. Who else? There's one more who's changed today, who was also not the best. So
the 4 changes. So
yeah, the other day, if you look at that side,
Karan was out, Mujib was out.
So the last game there were about 7 that I counted who were slow fielders, and the only fielder was Karun Agarwal and Mandeep. And I thought, I was putting them into the brilliant fielding guys. But everybody else, they're the slowest. Mohammad Shami is there. You got Chris Gale. You got Sarfraz. You got the captain himself. I mean, he might.
So the interesting one is they've got 2 young men
who are the slowest in the world.
Sarfraz and Mujib. Mujib is a bowler. Mujib is not a fielder. Mujib tries. Yeah. But Sarfraz and Mujib, 2 young men who are minus in the field.
Yeah, so far we're not going to exactly try and rack up points. It would be interesting to try and do that. We'll keep the points table to the points that the team gets for winning and losing, and this is where we stand right now as far as the teams are concerned. Yes, the men in purple and gold are at the top, 2 wins out of 2. It's still early days, but you'll have to say that 2 winless teams who we're going to be going head to head in Bengaluru. going to have everything to play for to get onto the board because, of course...
Mumbai is a 10,000-meter runner whom you never judge after the first lap.
Yeah, they lose 5 in a row, you'd say, okay, they're in a chance. It's somewhat like Rohit Sharma striking at about 70 or 80, you're thinking double 100 coming up.
Yes, correct. But MIRCB is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. So let's just go to that game quickly because, again, like today we had two teams who had sort of sneaked through, coming in both with wins under their belt. Now we've got two winless teams, very different circumstances in a way. Bangalore will just feel that they were outdone by that surface. How will Mumbai feel coming off that first game?
I think Mumbai should worry about their bowling. I feel they're probably really short on bowling. The last game that they played, yes, there are bowlers who are all-rounders, but they're bowling, but they're not the bowlers. They've got too much in that batting lineup. I mean, when you have 4 of the best players that play for India, then you still need all-rounders at number 7 and 8. I'm talking about the overseas players. Pollard is an emotional player that they have in there. You add UV to that list. So there's so much batting, but the bowling is short. I thought the other day they probably would have got away because they were chasing. And in chasing at the Wankhede probably is slightly easier. But if they put up a decent total or an average score, that bowling lineup is not one that's going to, let them win games. And even if the opposition makes a mistake, that's a different story. But all respect to Kunal and Hardik and Pollard and who else?
Ben Cutting.
Ben Cutting. You can't count Ben Cutting as a bowler. So I think they're still going emotionally. Ben Cutting had a great game last year, last couple of games, so they want him there. Pollard, who's always been their person. Hardik, who's also an emotional call. UV, I think, is another emotional call. So there's right in that middle is a whole emotional bit that you've got. You've got to get rid of 2 of these, whoever you want.
I think Malinga will come for Cutting because, as you said, they've got enough batting.
On that note, shall we actually have a look at the options that lie? The men in yellow, of course, are the ones who played that first game. So we will have options with Bumrah, a possible non-starter. He is in Bengaluru, but obviously recovering from that.
So Malinga comes in straight away. So if Malinga comes in for Bumrah, then Cutting has to go out. Cutting has to go out. They'll have to replace him with a bowler, right? Because so they'll probably play Barinder Sahn maybe in his place.
Yeah,
or Mayank Markanday, the leg spinner. Yeah, they've got Mayank Markanday, the leg spinner.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing for India. I mean, Markanday's played for India.
So they'll get the second spinner. Correct. Last time they only played one spinner.
Yeah, and I saw Rasik the other day. I mean, he's a young man, not wanting to be unfair to somebody by one game, but doesn't look anything special. I mean, to start a season for Mumbai, he didn't look like the bowler. Virendra Saran, we've seen, he's played for India. So one, that for sure. If you could put that list again, look at that list.
I want to ask you just very simply, I mean, not to play on words too often, but Barinder or Behrinder?
Barinder nahi hai, Barendorf hai.
I know.
No, not Barendorf. I was talking Barinder
playing on the words, yeah.
So look at that. You left out... Who do you want? So Bumrah goes out now, and Rasik Salam is the guy who. So I'm not counting him as a complete bowler. So it was only Jasprit Bumrah that was actually a pure bowler in there, or is a bowler who's worth, or the opposition would worry about. And look at the batting. I would actually leave out Quinton de Kock because he's one of those who you love watching him. He gets 20s, 30s at the top. And then he doesn't take the team through.
So he'd play Ishan Kishan.
Yeah, because you're talking of an overseas player. You can play as many Indian players. Add bowling at the back. So Surya Kumar Yadav had a fabulous year last year. Why would you want him to come at 3? I think Rohit Sharma and Surya Kumar Yadav at right at the top. You can do without a wicket keeper because how many games does Quinton de Kock win for any franchise team?
But I'll just
1 out of 7. He looks good. He looks good in every game. 20 of 10 balls, 12 balls.
Ajay, I fully agree with you to most of it. But Quinton de Kock in the last 2 months or so has tried to reinvent himself even in 50-over cricket. He told himself, of course he gets enough hundreds, but he told himself in T20 cricket, and we saw it in the last series, that he's starting to spend more time out there. Maybe that was the reason why they shoved him straight in, because he brought that form.
I think a lot will depend on the Bangalore wicket. I was there when for the international. And Virat Kohli did say that this is now back to the Bangalore wicket as it was, but only he was playing that game like the Bangalore wicket as it was, the others weren't. So if it is indeed a 160, 170, slightly sluggish, maybe on that kind of surface, then I can understand not playing Quinton de Kock. But if it's the old Bangalore wicket, maybe you can still play him because he might come up. But if you're replacing with overseas bowler, they still don't have Barendorf. So they only have McClenaghan and Malinga still. So maybe they'll play both McClenaghan and Malinga both.
Yeah, so they left out McClenaghan as well. No, not in the last game. McClenaghan and Bumrah. And then what do you have? Then you certainly go straight to Mati. I would play Markande.
And Malinga.
And Malinga, of course. I mean, if he's fit, if he wants to play, is he good enough? I don't know. I haven't seen him for a year.
I don't know if he's the death over. He's
no, he might not be the same. No, that's never going to be the case. But he'll still be better than the others. So you've got to have Malinga. You have Markande as a bowler, I see. You got to have Birinder Saran there.
Then you have Hardik, Krunal and Markande. Yeah.
Hardik, Kunal complete one bowler because they bowl at different times. Kunal is a fabulous cricketer. He gives more than what he can, but on a flat track. And there's a way that I see it. If the guy who's at the other end is 20 plus, Kunal goes for 10 and over. If the guys at the other end is less, he's come into bat, he'll go for 4, 5 and over. Because he does what he does best. If the batsman is taking chances or he can, maneuver him, then he has nothing else to it.
One person we may see, maybe not so early, is Anukul Roy. Zahir Khan rates him very highly, can bat a bit as well. So obviously Markande is first on the list and then he comes. Let's quickly switch to Bangalore because they look back at that last game and say, we don't want to read too much into that. Mumbai obviously need to make a few changes, especially with Bumrah. So how do you see this in terms of changes vis-a-vis what happened to them the last time around?
I mean, they got the conditions wrong last time, didn't they? So they left out both Negi and Washington Sundar because they had Moeen Ali. So they've got that option. If they have to play Tim Southee, if they want to play Tim Southee in, then they'll probably leave out either Colin de Grandhomme or Moeen Ali, because they'll want to give Hetmeyer more cricket. AB de Villiers will of course play. So one of those two will go out. Because Moeen Ali was playing, they didn't play Washington Sundar. I don't know what kind of form Washington Sundar is. I don't know how much the captain rates him. But there's not a lot in support. Kultanile only comes in right at the end when they get
as does Stoinis.
Yeah, so there's as does Stoinis. So they don't have a lot outside that playing level to go to other than those first two names.
Yeah, I like the bowling that I saw the other day, especially Navdeep Saini. Siraj is
good.
Yeah, he's good. Umesh Yadav is good. Chahal's good. So you got 4 bowlers there. You don't need I would either play Moeen Ali or Colin de Grandhomme. Both. You don't need both of them. Look at the other guys in that list. You got AB de Villiers, you got Virat Kohli, you got
Hetmeyer, Dubey.
Hetmeyer as well. So Hetmeyer, Colin de Grandhomme and Moeen Ali, only 2 can play according to me.
Yeah.
One of them they have to bring in one pure bowler, Saudi or whoever you want, because there's too much batting there. When you have a Kohli, AB de Villiers in your side, why do you need an all-rounder at number 7, 8? Those young bowlers are pretty good, Siraj and Navdeep Saini, but you got to give them a little more backing somewhere.
And obviously, as you
Southee
said,
can swing the bat as well.
And as you said, since today the Caribbean flavour was fully in view with Narayan and with Andre Russell, if Shimron Hetmeyer goes,
only somebody
to watch.
Yeah, only somebody tells Shimron Hetmeyer when it is a single and when it isn't. I mean, last time he's been to the fielder and ran. Nah, just pulling.
When the ball turns, the Caribbean guys don't enjoy it.
Especially with the leggy.
So I love the flair and the way they play, but they need a flat track. They need a track where the ball comes on. When it's turned, to maneuver things, they're not very good at.
Yeah.
So that wicket was something that was not going to suit him, and that's why he ran. They need to play the way the West Indians play. You got your strength, you got to strike the ball, you don't worry about running. But I think in that team you have to worry about running. Your captain wants to run.
When the last bit of the Caribbean DNA was being sorted, they asked them, they said, you have only that much memory space left. Do you want to learn to play wrist spin or do you want to learn your dance steps?
Dance steps.
And world is richer for it. But I mean, it was a convoluted, it didn't work. That line didn't work. All I'm trying to say is...
Shimron Hetmeyer for sure. I mean, he doesn't know what a red light means, whether it's coming to running or whether it's about slowing down.
He's a serious player. He's a serious batsman. If he gets going, he's a serious batsman, Shimron Hetmeyer.
Certainly is. We also had some very serious answers coming in for our Joy Factor question today. Lots of you sent in your answers. Let's remind you what the question was on hashtag Cricbuzz Live. And here it was, Bruce Yardley, the fastest 50, a record that stood for 38 years. But what was that match remembered for in 1978?
78, would have been early 78, the last test match of India's tour of Australia. Would that have been it?
We'll find out what the answer is.
Bruce Yardley played that. Graham Yellow. Oh, okay. Cool.
Graham Yallop, the first player to use a helmet in Test cricket, and for those who remember that, it was not the kind of helmet we remember. It was the closest thing to a bike helmet that you'd see. It was white with that visor in front.
I think it was a bike helmet.
Yeah,
There was
probably
no
was.
It would have been a bike helmet. Though I heard Mohinder Amarnath tell me this story once, that in 75, 76, in that Jamaica test, when Michael Holding was going at what, 200 kilometers an hour, I think, Madan Lal actually borrowed a helmet of one of the policemen sitting there and wanted to go out and bat in it, except that it was so heavy that he gave it back, but he said he did put it on, he wanted to go out and bat in that. This is what Jimmy Amarnath told me all those years ago.
But helmets have changed, haven't they?
Oh, over the years, of course. I mean, they were much heavier to start with. You didn't have that grill. I think Sanjay is the first one, because once he got hit, then the grill came in.
So Manoj got hit between the...
When he got hit.
Yeah.
I think there's been an evolution. There was a period where if you wore a helmet and went out to bat, you were considered as, you were a softie.
Yeah,
But you'll have to say the ugliest helmet that's ever been there in recent times has to be Mohammad Azharuddin. Such an elegant player, but those ear flaps sticking out looked awful. When he made that debut in Calcutta.
When he first used that helmet in Calcutta, he didn't own a helmet. He just borrowed it from somebody, and it was sitting there next to him, and he put it on and said, "Nahi, too much helmet ka hai, too much," and he left it on the side. And then he said, "Batting ko ja raha tha main, chalo," and he put it on, and he went. And he laughed at me and said, "See that old picture of mine in a helmet," and he'll start laughing. It was somebody's helmet. He just picked it up and wore it on his debut.
Yeah, because you were considered as a softie if you wore a helmet. And then if you wore a grill, then you were a softie. But now it's not just the grill. Now you got things at the back.
Post folios, yeah.
And it's amazing. When there weren't helmets, I think there were faster bowlers in the 70s.
Yeah.
The wickets were up and down, but people didn't get hit. Now with helmets and so much protection, more people get hit even on flat tracks or tracks that don't have variable.
I'll tell you what
because you're not when you know that you've been protected already. I think you probably don't have those
I
reflexes.
think there's an advisory now. When you're 7, 8, 10 years old also, you have to wear a helmet when you're batting.
The advisory, if you ask me, should be no kid should be playing with a cricket ball till he's about 10, 12, 13. Because
and don't go to an academy and learn to...
No, because that's totally a different game. Because when you play against a heavy ball, your whole action, your whole swing of the bat, the power game doesn't come. Look at all the greats around the world. Last time, all the stories would go back. They used to play with tennis balls. Now I see 5-year, 6-year, 8-year-old kids in academies with well-protected helmets, pads and all. But they're not going to learn how to swing that bat. They're not going to learn how to bowl a ball fast. At 6, you don't want to learn what you need to learn at 20. I never went to college, but you can't send a 6-year-old to a college, can you?
But it would be great to find a list of borrowed equipment that ended up becoming successful. So we now have Azharuddin's helmet, the story about Madan Lal, and of course one comes to mind is Shahid Afridi with a borrowed bat. I think it was Waqar Yunus's bat when he made that fastest 100.
And Waqar Yunus was given that bat by Tendulkar.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a story there. Saurav Ganguly in 97, in the Sahara Cup, when he was getting all those runs, was playing with Afridi's bat. No, Afridi wasn't. Was Afridi there by then? 97? Yeah, he started 96. Yeah.
There you go. So we'll save that discussion for another day. Borrowed equipment that ended up becoming successful. But of course, speaking of success, we do have a winner as far as all this was concerned.
He must have been waiting all this time.
I know.
When am I going to come on?
Graham Yallop's helmet. I know we had a few answers. Many answers I saw was about the underarm delivery that came in.
Yeah.
Trevor Chappell's underarm delivery. It wasn't. It was very much overarm. It was in the head, the helmet. And our winner is Pritesh Jagad. @Pritesh Jagad. Very simple. Keeps it simple. First time winner. That's a good thing. We have a first time
That's a good answer. Yes, it's a good answer.
Excellent answer.
It's amazing how they get it.
Yeah.
Because
it's the speed as well. Because they might.
you got to be first to.
You've got to be first to get it.
You've got to be first.
That's it. We've had hundreds of answers coming in, thousands at times that come in. Sometimes less if Joy sets a tough question. But
You have to set a tough question. Standards too high. You have to set a tough question.
You absolutely have.
I mean, some of the times when Joy was in this benevolent mood that he gets into sometimes, we were getting answers. Before we got up and went out, we were getting answers.
That's like the question Harsha set us before this show started. we are all still thinking of the answer.
What was that?
All these
Can I ask that to end the show?
No, all these fans around, and they know everything about Kolkata.
So to
they
end
know
the
what
show, this is Harsha's question to us before the show started. 2013, which particular player wore a polka dotted sock on one foot and a zebra striped sock on the other foot? Think about that and give it to us on hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Harsha will be responsible for all the prizes and the answer next time around.
You want me to give the answer already before they spend the whole night thinking about it? All these fans, they know everything. 2012, when we won the title, that day at the traffic jam, just before you entered the stadium, the registration number of the car in front was that. I mean, they know everything about it. So I said, okay, tell me this answer. And they thought they were serious. They took it seriously. And they actually tried to figure out who it was.
No, I was also trying to think when you ask a question.
I don't know, I just made it up. I just made it up.
It was a googly.
Yes, he's a proper leg break bowler, and this is where he's thrown in the googly.
I just made it up, yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you to the master, the guru on the couch.
Just got lucky today.
And
Mogambo ऐसे ही करता था ना.
And even without the couch, in Navjot Sidhu's words, Guru. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you all of you for watching. On that light note, that's been a good match. We've had lots and lots of fun, and we'll continue to have that on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live. We'll be back 7:30 p.m. from Bengaluru as RCB takes on the Mumbai Indians.